My name is Paris Ritter, and this is my testimony. So testifying to me is important because it allows you to tell your story, and it has the potential to encourage other people. You never really know what other people are struggling with or going through, and you also never really know how your story can help them persevere through. I am the easiest way to explain is a college and career counselor. I work in a local high school where my specific job is to follow all of our graduates through college or whatever their post-secondary plan is. And I absolutely love it. How I kind of came to realizing that this was my purpose or something that I was interested in is it's so crazy that you never know like how God is aligning your steps or why he's telling you to do certain things. And so to give the short version of the story, when I graduated from college, came home and I worked at my church. Being able to work at my church, I was allowed, I worked there part-time, so I was able to do other things outside of that. And one of the people at my church had a mentoring program, tutoring program of some sort. And so he asked me to volunteer with him, and so I did. And through that, I just would always have conversations with some of the high schoolers that I was working with. What was life going to look like for them post high school? A lot of them had no plan. A lot of them just didn't know what they wanted to do, or kind of sort of had a plan, but it wasn't like set in stone. And these were like people who were getting ready to graduate. And through that, I remember telling my now husband, Theo, that I wanted to go back to school because I wanted to learn more about higher education and college counseling and all that other good stuff. But I had just graduated undergrad, so I was like, I need a break. I'm not trying to go right back to school. And so, but that's where it all sparked. And going to work for my church was not something that wasn't in my plan. I didn't want to. When people asked me when I was graduating from college what was my plan, it was to work at a PR firm and work my way all the way up to becoming like a partner or president or whatever, like head public relations manager or whatnot. That was not my plan to go and work at my church. So I would have missed out on that opportunity because I would have been working really hard hours or, long events and things of that nature for a PR firm. I wouldn't have had the flexibility to be able to volunteer with Ralph in his program. So fast forward, I ended up leaving from working at the church, and I had started working at a mortgage company. And through the company, we did a lot of community outreach, and we were partners with a local school district where we had partner days. And so I would go with my supervisor to these partner days, talking to kids, mentoring kids yet again. And it was just like, okay, God. Now, when I worked at my church, I also worked for the youth and young adult division. I didn't work for like the church as a whole. I worked specifically with the youth and young adult division. And so, again, just constant reminders, constantly just seeing kids, basically. Then I left the mortgage company, and because I decided to finally go ahead and enroll in school. Because it was burning in me because I was still working with Ralph during all of this. So it was still burning in me to be able to have the desire to go back to school. So I finally made that decision. And then I said, okay, I need to get some experience actually working in a school. So left the mortgage company and started working at a local high school in East Point. And as a secretary, just so I can get my foot in the door. And I absolutely loved the students that I worked with there. Absolutely loved them, their stories, their background. Like I felt connected or drawn to them. Their stories and with their upbringing and everything was very different from mine, but I absolutely loved it. I felt like it was a toxic place for me because there was so much that I wanted to do and so much change that I wanted to invoke. But unfortunately, it was just not allowed to, just because sometimes when things are set in stone or when systems and processes are kind of set, it's kind of hard to come in and want to change that, even if there's a turnover and different leadership and things of that nature. So to make a long story short, a counselor had retired. I was supposed to do my internship there because it's a requirement for my grad program. Principal said no, he wants someone else. So I immediately started applying and looking for other jobs. this was my second year at the school. I already was applying, looking for other jobs anyway, but it was so many of, either I didn't get the job or I got the job, but it didn't feel right in my spirit. And so I would turn the job down, even though it was perfect and I would have loved it. It was close to home or, pay more money, all that good stuff, but it just didn't feel right in my spirit. So I would turn it down. So I just kind of like left it alone. Like I was like, it was clear to me that God was not ready for me to leave just quite yet. Or maybe what he wanted me to get, it wasn't time. Like I hadn't came across that job yet. Once I had the conversation with my principal about wanting to do my internship at the school since the counselor was retiring, he told me no. I started looking again. I was like, okay, I can't stay here then. If I can't do what I came here for, honestly, 2 years ago, I was there for 2 years. It's like, okay, at this point, it's time for me to move on. So I started looking for jobs again and came across the perfect job, which is where I am now. And again, just a testimony of patience because I didn't start my new position until February. Crazy enough, though, so when I did the interview when I came to Detroit Cristo Rey, which is where I am at now, I was looking for something in my email, and crazy enough, I actually had already applied for a position at that school the summer before I came back, but didn't complete the application. I was kind of like, you know what, nope, I'm going to give another year. I'm going to try it. I'm going to see how I like it and give it another chance. And yeah, that didn't work out. So when I never completed the application, but it's so crazy because the position that I'm in now, the person who was in the position that I originally applied for, we have a great working relationship. Love all of my coworkers. The job, it pays more. I'm doing more so what I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do actually, which is to not only help students figure out and finalize post-secondary plans, but actually making sure that they're successful in those plans. And if those plans change, then rerouting them and coming up with something different. So God's role in all of this, honestly, it's just several different ways. One, just patience and obedience. Sometimes God shows you things and gives you desires that you really, really want. But that doesn't mean that it's supposed to happen right then and there when he showed you. And so, like I said, God was constantly showing me how I was supposed to be involved with youth back in 2013. But I didn't start working with youth directly until 2016, 2017. And then I didn't get my position until 2018. So that's the one way. Just he's always was giving me glimpses, but it wasn't necessarily time quite yet for me to fully go. Because I prayed before I left the mortgage company to go to work full time in education. I prayed long and hard about that because if anybody knows anything about education, it's a lot that goes into it as far as pay is concerned, as far as salary is concerned, and it's not always the most, at least starting out, it's not always the most lucrative. And so it was definitely a decrease in pay from going from the mortgage company to, because I was social media manager, so I pretty much was hitting up a lot of different stuff at the mortgage company. And so from going to that to taking a huge pay cut, I was like, Lord, you got to make it make sense, because your daughter is ready and she wants to do what it is that you have told her to do, but she also wants to still live and pay her bills. So I'm like, make it make sense, Lord. But that sacrifice and obedience and being able to take that pay decrease, ultimately I was able to make that all the way back and then some with the position that I have now. So it was kind of like delayed gratification almost. It's kind of like, okay, so I took this pay cut for 2 years, but I was able to make that up and then some with the position that I have now. So that's one way, just being obedient to God and just listening to him, being patient when he tells you to do something. Because again, like I said, even when I was when I prayed to God to leave the mortgage company, then I left, and then it was like, wow, why am I here? I don't like it. What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to gain? And then getting the money back that I lost when I took the decrease. And then also when I was applying for jobs that was not yet ready for me. I didn't take this job because it was something new. The person who was in this position had to leave first in order for it to become available for me to even apply to. And I could have missed that had I been not listening to God when I went on all these other job interviews and applied for all these other jobs and was getting the callbacks. Had I gone or accepted those positions, I would have missed out on this one. I could have been in the same place, miserable, or they could have completely messed me up on my pay or whatever it was. And then also God would just give you the desires of your heart. I really wanted coworkers that I could get along with, coworkers that were close in age, coworkers that looked like me, and I got all of that, and even with some diversity in our group too as well. So it's just like these are women and men, honestly, that we all come from different faces and walks of life, but we all can still come together and really do what's best for our students. So I absolutely love that. Also, just knowing the role that you play in other people's lives as well is another way that God kind of like orchestrates all of this and kind of play a major role in all of this. And it's so funny because my coworkers, and I really wanted coworkers who share some of the same beliefs as I did. Not because I have anything against any other beliefs, but that was just really important to me for those days when I am feeling down. And being a grad student, it's tough days working a full-time job, being a full-time wife, trying to help your husband's business, maintain yours, and go to school. It's a lot. And so the days when I'm feeling down, like my coworkers have no problem just saying, girl, do we need to pray? And you need that, like, when you don't even know that you need it for yourself. So, or just encouraging you like, hey, God didn't like tell you to do this or put all this on you or whatever, just for you to not feel like you can do it. So what I think I'm most grateful for in this entire process are two things. One, all of the trial and error and everything that I did learn from my previous school, because it did prepare me. And even the mortgage company job, what I did at my church, what I did working with Ralph and the RISE program, well, now the Boston Community Development, but everything that I learned, it was so funny, because from the largest thing to the smallest thing, I literally was stamping something for a student, and it was the exact same stamping machine that was at my mortgage company. And so I just took a moment. I was like, wow, thanks, God. Like, because I don't have to ask somebody how to do this. Being the new person, sometimes it can kind of feel like you're being a bother when you're constantly asking somebody how to do stuff. And so it was just something as small as that, where that I learned from somewhere else. So that's probably one thing that I'm grateful for, that I did learn a lot of different things at all of my previous employers that helped me and prepared me to get to where I am today. And then the other thing is that God answers prayers. Not only did I want better income, but I wanted a genuine connections and relationships with my coworkers. And I know a lot of people say your coworkers are your coworkers, they're not your friends. But these specifically the women have definitely become a lot like friends, and I definitely trust them. And so being able to have that positive work environment was really, really important to me. And so that's probably one of the things that two of the things that I'm most grateful for. Everything that I learned previously that prepared me to get me to where I am today, and then being in a place that is a positive work environment, and having just the fact that God just answered all of my prayers and my desires for what I wanted when I did move. Like I said, I had my plan of working at a PR firm and working my way all the way up to the top, and God had a different plan. If I didn't follow God's instructions and go work at my church, there's so much that would not have birthed from that. I would not be in the place that I am today. I would not have show and tell gospel. I would not have the connection that I have with certain people. I would not have been able to meet some of the people that, like, so many opportunities came just from being obedient and doing that. And so when I started praying and talking to God, when I started getting a little antsy, like, okay, God, like, I'm getting close to graduation. I don't have no job lined up. I just keep saying this is what I'm going to do, but I don't even know how at this point. And just being obedient to that, even if it doesn't make sense. Working at my church did not make sense to me. Leaving my mortgage company job, which was paying me pretty well, to take a major decrease to work in education did not make sense to me. Taking on two positions with one salary did not make sense to me, but God had a plan. He had a better plan, and all of it prepared me to become and to be who I am today.